Today, we're going to dive into a really simple story. It's about a delivery rider, a guy who runs a tea stall, and just a plain old tin box with one word written on it, tomorrow. But trust me, this little story packs some powerful lessons about money, about freedom, and believe it or not, about dignity. So let's get into it.
Everything kicks off with this one incredible idea from the story's mentor. He says money is a time machine. Now, he doesn't mean you can go back and fix your mistakes. No, it's about buying yourself freedom in the future. The freedom to handle a surprise, the freedom to take a day off, even the freedom just to say no.
So let's meet our guy, Nikhil. He's working hard, zipping around Bengaluru as a delivery rider in the gig economy. But like so many people, he feels like he's constantly just treading water. You know that feeling. Every rupee that comes in already has a name on it, already has somewhere to go before he even gets it. It's a tough spot to be in.
And then, of course, the one thing he absolutely needs to make a living, his scooter, it breaks down. The repair bill is a gut punch, and with no savings, he's got to take a loan. On the surface, it seems like a simple fix, a friendly hand helping him out. But that's almost never the whole story, is it?
And this brings us to the second big lesson of the story. On one side, you've got the promise of debt. Hey, I'm a quick fix. But on the other side, you've got the reality. Debt is a tool, for sure, but it's a tool with teeth. It starts out looking small and manageable, but it can so easily spiral into a cycle that doesn't just take your money, it takes your peace of mind too.
So Nikhil is stuck in this cycle, and he hits a breaking point. He just knows, deep down, that he cannot keep living on this knife's edge. And the answer, the thing that changes everything, is sitting right there on the counter of a little local tea stall.
The final straw isn't some huge catastrophe. It's a small, very human moment. His mom's inhaler is empty, it's late at night, he runs out to buy a new one, but that one expense completely wipes him out. He's left staring at his empty wallet and something just clicks. He decides right then and there, this cannot continue.
So what is this Tomorrow 10? Look, it's nothing fancy or complicated. It's just an emergency fund. It's literally taking that first lesson, money is a time machine, and putting it into a physical box. It's using a little piece of your money today to buy yourself calm and options for tomorrow. It's a buffer against that panic you feel when a surprise bill shows up.
So with this new fire in him, Nikhil goes to his mentor, this wonderful old tea stall owner named Anand Kaka. And Anand teaches him a system that is just beautifully simple. It doesn't need spreadsheets, you don't need any fancy apps. All you need are 3 jars and a decision to start.
And these are the 3 core rules. First up, save 10% of everything you make. And yeah, even if it feels ridiculously, comically small at first. Second, track every single rupee. Give it a name, make it accountable. And third, and this one's a real game changer, prioritize spending your money on things that actually make your life cheaper down the road. Think good tools for work, new skills, or just taking care of your health.
Okay, and I know exactly what some of you might be thinking right now. 10%? Seriously? I'm barely scraping by as it is. What possible difference is that tiny amount going to make? And that's a fair question. It's probably the biggest reason people don't start. But the answer? Well, the answer is where the real magic is.
100 times. That's the answer. Think about it. Saving 10 rupees Rizal 100 times is so much more powerful than trying to save 1,000 rupees just once and then burning out. Consistency is the engine that drives this whole thing. Tiny, repeated habits will always, always beat those rare heroic efforts that you can't sustain.
So Nikhil gets home and he sets up his 3 jars. The first one is for needs, the absolute essentials to survive. The second is for goals, where every single rupee has a specific job to do. And then there's this third one, which is fascinating, a jar for giving. The lesson here is so powerful. Generosity isn't some luxury you wait for until you're rich. It's a habit you build now to keep money in its place and to protect your own values from being chipped away by financial fear.
He also starts this little notebook he calls the Quiet Boss. And this completely reframes the whole idea of a budget. Let's be honest, most of us hear budget and we think prison, right? It's just a list of all the things we can't do. But this flips that on its head. A budget isn't a prison, it's a map. It doesn't restrict you, it just shows you exactly where you are, so you can figure out how to get where you want to go.
So how does this all start to build momentum? I mean, it's one thing to start a system, but it's another thing entirely to see it actually work. And the very first payoff, well, it isn't what you'd probably expect. It's not wealth.
It's dignity. So to make his savings feel real, Nickel gives that goals jar a very specific job. He sets 3 clear targets. First, build up that tomorrow fund to 1 month's expenses. Second, something simple, buy a good fan for his mom. And third, an investment in himself. Save up for a basic accounting course to learn a new skill.
And the very first goal he hits is the fan. Now look, it's not a huge, life-changing purchase, but the impact is massive. His mom is more comfortable, and for Nickel, seeing that tangible result, turning these small, disciplined savings into real-world comfort for someone he loves, that's a huge shot of motivation. It proves to him that the system actually works.
And then, of course, life happens. The system gets a real-world test. A monsoon hits the city, and his mentor, Anand, gets really sick. But this time, instead of panicking or feeling totally helpless, Nickel can actually act. He dips into his tomorrow fund, he buys the medicine, and he even keeps the tea stall running for a few days. He's built a buffer that allows him to help, not hide.
And this moment reveals what might be the most profound insight in the entire story. Money's first return on investment isn't more money. It's dignity. It's the ability to face a crisis with calm instead of with panic. It's the power to make a choice from a place of stability, not desperation.
Okay, so if the first return is dignity, what's the ultimate goal here? Where does this whole journey of small, consistent habits eventually lead? Well, this is the final and I think the most powerful phase of Nickel's transformation. So, months go by. His habits are rock solid. That stressful loan is finally gone. And because of his discipline and new skills, he even lands a better job. And then he does something really small but incredibly important. He takes his goals jar and he relabels it. The new label just says options. Think about that shift. He's not just saving for things anymore. He's saving for freedom itself. So what's our map to our own tomorrow? This story gives us a fantastic foundation, a way to think about it all. We've seen how Nickel learned to buy time instead of toys, to start ridiculously small, to see a budget as a map. But the core idea is always the same, right? The endgame isn't about piling up more stuff. It's about piling up choices. The choice to learn something new, to change your career, or just to spend more time with the people you care about.
Okay, so how can you make this real? Like right now, tonight? Here are 3 tiny steps you can take. First, just grab a notebook and start your own quiet boss. Just 3 columns: income, expenses, and next 100 rupee decision. Second, set up 3 buckets. They can literally just be envelopes: needs, goals, give. And third, make 1 tiny cut. Skip 1 fancy coffee, walk instead of ride, and move that exact amount of money into your goals envelope. That's it. That's the start.
When you really boil it all down, the heart of this entire parable is about a completely new way of thinking. Money isn't the hero or the villain here. It's just water. It takes the shape of whatever container you pour it into. If your container is built out of fear and anxiety, that's what your financial life will feel like. But if you build a container out of purpose and dignity and choice, then money becomes fuel for the life you actually want to build. So, before you do anything else, find any box, any jar, any old envelope, take a pen and write 1 single word on it: tomorrow. And then drop in your first coin. That's how this whole thing starts. Not with some grand, complicated plan, but with 1 small, intentional act that says, I'm starting to buy back my future.